Okay, let's talk about something you've probably seen a million times, but maybe never really thought about. The psychology of why some people downplay their own birthday.
You know who I'm talking about, right? The person who, when you wish them a happy birthday, they kind of shrug and go, oh, thanks, but it's really just another day. No big party, no countdown, nothing.
On the surface, it seems pretty straightforward. Maybe they're just humble, right? But psychologically, it's way more complex than that. There's a lot going on under the hood. So let's get into it. All right, reason number one. It all comes down to a fundamental question. Where do you get your sense of value from? For people who downplay their birthdays, their self-worth isn't tied to being in the spotlight. This taps into a core psychological concept called internal validation. It's basically the ability to know your own worth from the inside out, without needing a crowd of people to tell you that you matter. So because they have this stable sense of self, their identity doesn't really change whether it's their birthday or just a random Wednesday. They feel just as valid, just as important without the annual announcement. Okay, so reason number two is all about avoiding what you could call the emotional spike. It's about the sheer intensity of birthday attention. Think about it. The flood of texts, the calls, the social media posts. For a lot of people, especially if they're more introverted, that sudden blast of focus can feel, well, overwhelming. It can actually trigger more stress than joy. And there's this weird cycle, right? You get this huge peak of attention for 24 hours, and then poof, the next day it's gone. That massive drop can feel really jarring and kind of artificial. For some, it's just way easier to keep things on an even keel. Now, this next one gets a little deeper. Reason number three is about the birthday as a form of self-protection, a kind of protective shield built from past experiences. There's a powerful psychological principle at play here. If, over and over again, getting your hopes up leads to disappointment, your brain learns a lesson. It learns to lower those expectations to protect you from getting hurt again. And this can come from all sorts of things. Maybe birthdays were forgotten in childhood, or celebrations were always tense. So the brain adapts. The logic becomes, if I act like this day doesn't matter, then it can't hurt me if nobody else makes it matter either. Okay, moving on to reason number four. This one is huge. It's about control versus obligation. For some people, it's not about avoiding attention. It's about pushing back against feeling forced into things. Birthdays come with this whole set of invisible rules, don't they? You're supposed to reply to everyone. You have to perform gratitude. You must go out and do something special. For someone who really values their personal freedom, that can feel like a cage. So by treating their birthday like any other day, they're not being rude or ungrateful, they're taking back control. It's their way of saying, I'm going to decide how to spend my time and my energy, not some social script. And that brings us to our fifth and final reason, and this one kind of flips the whole idea on its head. What if downplaying a birthday isn't about not caring, but about caring in a much deeper, more private way? This is a really important shift in perspective. The silence doesn't mean apathy. It often means the exact opposite. It's a sign that they take the day seriously, but as a moment for private reflection, not public celebration. So instead of planning a party, their mind is filled with these big, quiet questions. It's a personal check-in. Where am I really at in my life right now? They think about the last 365 days. What's different? How have I grown? What did I learn? And maybe even more powerfully, what's still the same? What am I still stuck on? It's a profound personal audit, and you just don't need an audience for that. So when you put all of these pieces together, you start to see that a birthday is so much more than just a day. It's this fascinating window into how we see ourselves, how we manage attention, and where we find our worth. And what this all really tells us is that there's a whole spectrum of celebration. Some people need to be loud, some people need to be quiet, and some just want peace. And you know what? There's absolutely no right way to do it. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What does your own approach to your birthday say about you? Are you a loud celebrator or a quiet reflector? And what does that reveal about your own inner world? It's pretty interesting when you stop to think about it.